What up, THC fans? It is Mike from the Hardcover Comic here today. We're going to take a look at some custom binds. I got a new batch of 11 books, and I'm going to have to break this video up into two parts because I can't ramble on for 30 minutes about binds, so we're going to do it in two parts at 15 minutes a pop. Hopefully. We'll see what happens. Very excited with this last batch. A lot of more modern comics, a few lots I was lucky enough to pick up on eBay. Very exciting stuff. I love it. They all turned out fantastic, exactly as I wanted. Very elegantly done by Lehman Bookbinding, which is the place I go to all the time. If you're interested, I did make a video on how I get my books ready for them. I'll leave a link down in the description below for you to check that out. If you're interested in sending in your own books, particularly to Lehman, you can use this pretty much for, I don't know about every bindery, but a lot of them, I imagine, based on what I've seen and experienced and heard from other people. Without further ado, though, let's check out these binds. The first book I'm going to talk about is a book we were supposed to get an omnibus for. I remember Scott Snyder 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? Pretty much as soon as the event wrapped up, said there's going to be an omnibus for it someday. Dark Knight's Metal. This is a custom bind I had made that collects everything for the Dark Knight's Metal event. I didn't get any of the build-up stuff aside from Forge and Casting. And yeah, pretty much collects the entire event here in one nice, thick, fat volume. Very exciting stuff here. Of course, like I said, we were waiting for an official deluxe edition. Of course, this series is written by Scott Snyder with the artwork on the main event by Greg Capullo. Some of the side events, you get guys like Francis Manipool, Paul Pelletier, Stepan Sage, a whole for Ethan Van Sciver. I mean, so many fantastic artists worked on this event. Every issue is a spectacular, beautiful thing to look at. I really, truly did love this event very much. I'm not the biggest fan of Scott Snyder, but I must say he knocked it out of the park with this one. It's the first thing I read out of my custom bind pile. Needless to say, I'm very excited about Death Metal, which is currently ongoing as well, but the book itself, like I said, I just got the single issues. I got them in a lot online, and I just bound them. I bound them all. The biggest problem with this bind is there are a lot of cardstock covers in this, the holographic covers, which don't make for the best reading experience on a custom bind. Any book, really. I mean, they're very thick paper. They do stand out there. Often erect within the book. It's the best way to put it. That's the best way to put it. But other than that, it reads really well. The binding is very solid. You get some gutter loss here. Of course, it's glued binding, defab. But, you know, it's not the worst thing ever. It reads really well. It opens up really well. It stays up really well. Again, the only problem is those cardstock covers. But overall, not too bad. Again, incredible artwork. Really love this series. Very excited I had this done. Next up is my second Aftershock anthology. I can't believe I even had one, let alone two. So this is the second one. My first one collected 3 miniseries, Jimmy's Bastards, Her Infernal Descent, and Relay. Oh, 4 actually, with Brothers Dracula as well. This one collects 2 miniseries. One is by, I guess maxi series is what they're called if they're 12 issues each. Yeah, it collects A Walk Through Hell by Garth Ennis and Goran Sudzuka, along with Pestilence by Frank Thierry and Greg Olakev. Both are fantastic series. A Walk Through Hell is, Garth Ennis. It was kind of a no-brainer for me, but it's sort of a story about these 2 agents who get involved in this psychological, suspenseful thriller. A really compelling story. Goran Sudzuka's artwork is fantastic. I really enjoyed it as it was coming out in single issues, and I wanted to get a second Aftershock anthology going, so that was a no-brainer for me. Really great stuff. Again, if you like Garth Ennis, if you like what he does, he makes compelling characters, compelling stories. He deals with modern-day problems, social media, societal problems, things like that. He tackles quite a bit in this book, obviously dealing with the political situation in the U.S. as well at this time. Not at this particular time, but over the past 4 years, And then you've got Pestilence. Pestilence was actually 2 miniseries that make up for one story. There was sort of a teaser at the end of the second one that there may be a third one, but I haven't seen anything yet. I'm not patient enough, so we've got what we've got here. But it's essentially a story about a group of crusaders who, for some reason or another, it does get explained, I'm not going to spoil it, of course, they find out that there is a vampiric infestation happening within the church and the land around them in general, the world around them in general, and they sort of have to deal with, the onslaught of vampires, and also deal with the fact that they need to find a cure or some way to survive in this new world. Very exciting stuff, very graphic, very, both of these series are very, very adult and graphic, not for kids, definitely, which is sort of what Aftershock is going for, but fantastic. I really enjoyed it. The artwork by Greg is fantastic, and Frank Thierry can write a really, really good medieval story. I'm really happy to have this anthology. I'm really happy to have 2 Aftershock anthologies, something I didn't think I would ever have, but lo and behold, here we are. Very fun stuff. If you're interested in checking out something different, check out those 2 series, along with the other 4 minis I had mentioned earlier: Relay, Brothers Dracul, Jimmy's Bastards, and Her Infernal Descent. All great reads. The third book I'm going to talk about today is Ninja K. I know there was a deluxe edition released for it, but I was already picking up the book in single issues as I was trying to support Valiant as much as I could while they were sort of on their last leg. So I picked up Ninja K. It was a series by Christos Gage with a whole bunch of amazing artists. Thomas Giorello is the one that comes to mind primarily because he's so good. But got it done in black with the gold font on the spine. Really happy with how the spine turned out. I love how big and bold the Ninja K is. I also did throw a couple other mini-series in here. One of the mini-series I threw in was KI6 Killers, which was sort of a little mini-series that they did after Ninja K that followed sort of the other... I don't want to spoil too much. They followed other characters that you get introduced to in Ninja K. And then at the tail end of that, I threw in Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe. I had the mini. It's a fun mini, a pretty good time. Nice mindless action kind of story. I believe Elliot Ray Hall wrote it, but I threw that in the back as well. So looking at a total of about 24 issues in here, 20 issues or so. Really fun stuff. I love Ninja K. I think it's a great effort from Valiant. Ninjak by Matt Kinn is by far the top of the pile, but I really like Ninja K. The deluxe is great and all that, but I threw some extra content in here to make it more economically feasible for me and to justify the bind itself. Next up is The Wild Storm. This was recently published by DC Comics. I believe it was a couple years ago. Written by Warren Ellis with artwork by John Davis Hunt, who is supposed to be doing the Shadow Man series with Cullen Bunn at Valiant pretty soon, but I don't know if anything's happened with that. So when I had started picking up this series, I had picked up the first 6 or so issues in singles. Really liked it, but I saw, I need to cut back on my pull list. This is only going to go for 24 issues. At the 6-issue mark, I can stop and pick up the rest in trades, which I did eventually, and had them all bound into this volume. So we're looking at 24 issues in this volume. Not too thick for 24 issues, but trade paperbacks, you leave out a lot of ads and a lot of unnecessary pages, which is really, really cool. I got it in white with the, I believe it's black font, yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Really, really great series. I haven't read the whole thing. I read about half, and I wanted to wait until my bind was done to finish it off. Warren Ellis sort of reimagining, re-envisioning the Wildstorm universe. It's a bit more realistic, a bit more mature. Obviously, not as 90s anymore. But you get to see some great characters. If you're a fan of Wildstorm, Wildcat, Stormwatch, Authority, all those, you'll see a whole bunch of those characters in here. Guys like Grifter, you'll see Angela Spica, the engineer, among other, Zealot. A bunch of characters show up here. Michael Cray. There was a spin-off series for Michael Cray by Brian Hitch with Warren Ellis writing. Not the greatest thing. Still pretty good, though, so if you're interested in getting even more of the Wildstorm, I recommend checking that out. But this is a great book. It's got fantastic artwork. I didn't expect there to ever be an omnibus or deluxe edition collecting this series. I don't know if there will be now after some of the stuff that's come out, but I had to get it bound. I'm very excited to dive into this and finish it off. I really love the characters in here. As I've read more of that 90s stuff, I've come to appreciate it a bit more. And I always love anything Warren Ellis writes. He's a great writer. He writes fantastic stories, great characters, fantastic dialogue. So I'm really excited to check this out, finish it off, and, enjoy this new interpretation of the Wildstorm universe as much as I can. Next up, the last book I'm going to talk about today, the first of my 4 or 5 binds in the Sandman universe. Sort of little collection I'll have here. This is The Dreaming. This is the newer run. This is the run from a couple years ago. This is by Simon Spurrier with artists, mainly Bilquis Evely, a few others. I've got them all listed here, but Bilquis Evely is really the superstar here. She is sensational. One of my favorite up-and-coming artists. The more of her work I see, the more I fall in love with it. She's fantastic. I was actually introduced to her reading Wonder Woman by Greg Rucka when Rebirth started. She did some arcs after Nicola Scott left the title. Either way, Bill Kosevely is fantastic. Simon Spurrier, I've sung his praises many, many times. This is another fantastic title by him. Ran for, I believe, 20 issues total, 21 issues. They're all collected here in this bind. I had them all through the single issues. I also included that first issue of the Sandman universe that came out prior to the entire line launching, which sort of introduced every single book that was going to be coming. Very exciting stuff in here. It's sort of what happens after the Sandman series by Neil Gaiman, looking at the dreaming and what's happened now that, Morpheus has decided to take off, and what's gonna happen. Lucian's dealing with the aftermath of that. You get to see all your favorite characters: Mervyn, Matthew the Raven. All your favorites are in here. It's such a fantastic title. You also get introduced to some new characters, some new elements get added into the dreaming. Really well done, with Simon Spurrier doing what he does best, building, expanding on a universe, writing amazing, incredibly compelling dialogue that you just love reading through. Some really crazy, wacky ideas here. A lot of fantastic artwork by Bill Kosevely. And, as with all the binds, it's well bound. I don't have any issues reading it. It stays open pretty much right from the start, which is always a good time. This is another one of those books where I just didn't see DC doing an omnibus for it. I mean, getting the Dreaming, the original series in omnibus, I don't think that's even a plan for them right now. So, let alone having Simon Spurrier's run. So I just had to bite the bullet and do it. I got it in this nice light blue with gold text on the spine. I really, really, really dig it. I can't wait to get the rest of my Sandman universe books done and have them all lined up on the shelf. I think I'm going to go with a different color for each one, and then, of course, make dust jackets for them. It's going to be ballin'. I can't wait. Very exciting stuff there. If you haven't checked out The Dreaming or really any of the Sandman universe titles, I highly recommend you do, particularly The Dreaming, Lucifer, and Books of Magic. Fantastic stuff. Really dug those titles so much. Oh, and Hellblazer, of course. You got to read Simon Spurrier's Hellblazer. That's wrapping up in a couple months here. Can't wait to see how that finishes so I can bind it up as well. But yeah, I love The Dreaming. If you haven't checked it out yet, please be sure you do. It's such a good series. This is, again, the newest series by Simon Spurrier. Well, folks, that's it for batch number 1. 5 books. I tried to throw some variety in here. A couple different publishers. Fun stuff. I can't wait to dive into all these. I'm well over halfway through Dark Knight's Metal. I can't wait to dive into the Wildstorm next and keep moving down the list. I'm going to fly through these binds. Oh, I'm so excited. They're just so easy to read, so nicely put together. The binding is fantastic. There's just so many pros to it. Just knowing these are all issues I either collected over a couple years or I was lucky to find a deal on, and I prepped myself, all that. Such a good feeling. So nice to own finally. I can't wait to put these on my shelf. Move some things around because I'm running out of space up here. But what do you guys think? Would you like to see official releases for any of these books aside from Ninja K, which already has one? Do you have any custom bind plans? Let us know. Part 2 will be coming out in a couple days. Hope you guys are all doing well. Be sure to subscribe if you're a new viewer and you haven't already. This is what we do on a regular basis. I mean, custom binds take a while, but we have a lot of those. I think Matt recently told me he has 97 custom binds now. Insane. I'm so happy for him. Super jealous as well. But yeah, live streams, graphic novel overviews, reviews, all that fun stuff. It all happens here, so be sure to subscribe. Check out our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Every dollar you give to our Patreon gets you another drawing into our giveaway at the end of every single month. Deluxe editions, Omnibus, Absolute. You get to choose. Whoever the winner is gets to choose what they want within a price range. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. We also give away digital codes whenever we can. So doing some fun stuff over there. Check that out if you're interested. If you're interested in merch, hit us up on our email. It's down below. Same thing if you're interested in a dust jacket or graphic bind design. That's something we do. Hit us up at our email. $10. That's it. That's it. We draw the line there. We're not going to change it to $11.99 like some people have. That was a jab at DC changing from $2.99 to $3.99, even though they've said many times $2.99 is the line in the sand that they're drawing. But I hold no ill will towards them. We've got a whole other problem with currency and comic prices up here in Canada. I'm rambling now. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Hope you guys are all doing well, staying safe and sound in this year and the coming year. Thank you all very much. This is Mike from the Hardcover Comic. Until next time, as always, you stay classy, Internet.